Hello. This week I spent a little bit of time working on a personal project of mine where I really made an effort to do a test first, do TDD, and I also worked against a external API, the OBS API that I use for Twitch streaming. So when you have an external API, that gives you a good opportunity to do some mocking. So that's what we did, and I also showed a little bit of how dependency injection works in practice. So this video hopefully gives you a bit of an idea of how you can work with TDD on an external API in practice. Before we jump to the video, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Brilliant! I really like having Brilliant as a sponsor because they are such a good destination to send people off to when you want to learn like the basics of the math that is required for machine learning and learning about AI. Because it's so annoying, you try to get into machine learning but you get hit with all this math notation that you don't know about or that you have forgotten about since like school when you learn it. And Brilliant offers these awesome interactive challenges with like a little bit of gamification to give you like a sense of progress. It's really nice. It's just not video course, it's actually interactive challenges, and I really like that. If learning machine learning math sounds appealing to you, you should go to brilliant.org/FFF to sign up. That really helps out the channel because it tells them that you came from here. Also, it gives you 20% off if you get their annual subscription. Thank you, Brilliant. On to the show. What are we gonna do today? We are going to do some coding. I have a little let me explain this thing. Over there is a streaming computer. That is the one that is pushing out the stream to Twitch. And that's taking the feed from the camera, it's taking the microphone, and it's feeding that up to Twitch. Here is my laptop, which is screen capturing and pushing that to the stream controller, my stream master. The problem is that you might see that I have to walk over here to switch scenes. And that is because OBS, Open Broadcasting Studios, that sits on this thing, is, it resides over there. I have OBS here as well, but it's another OBS. So, OBS has there's this NPM module for OBS because there is an NPM module for everything. So there's this OBS WebSocket.js, and it can expose the local interface of OBS to us. Yeah. And what I want to do is that I want to create a little web app that exposes the scenes on OBS to a little web app and allows me to click on this computer and switch the scenes on that computer, which switches the scenes for you people. And eventually I also want to expose this to someone on the stream, maybe someone we hire or somebody that is volunteering, I don't know, that can be our production manager and switch cameras as we and scenes as we talk, which would be really cool. So if somebody like the guest is talking like extensively, we can just like switch the camera to show just that person. Hypothetically, I could be doing all that myself. The problem is that when you are in a talking mode and you're focusing on the chat and like everything is just like really hard. So therefore it would be cool to expose that to other people. I have like played around with this and wrote a bunch of crap here, really. But I kind of want to like just do this from the start. And I think I'm going to delete this here. And here like I told you before that you should not, like, having things named manager is a smell. And I just deleted something that I created, like an OBS manager. So perhaps I should do, like, follow my own what I preach, you know, and do something called OBS thing until I know what this is. And inside OBS thing, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this create.test.js. And the reason why I am gonna call it, Ronin asks, wait, thing is better than manager? No, they are equally bad, but manager is a bit weaselly because it seems like it's better. So thing is better because that allows me to see in the code that this is a placeholder name, and probably fix it before I commit it or push it. And while manager is a name that is really just as garbage as thing, but it might end up in the repo anyway because it sounds good. But the reason that I want to call this test is because, let's see, how do I keep forgetting how to increase the font size here. This doesn't look too good. Yeah, something like this. Is because I want to create, like, the base function here is going to be create OBS thing. This is like the unit that we are going to be testing. And create implies that this is a factory. It's going to return an interface with functions like get scene list. Yeah, something like this, and that should return an array of things with names, you know, name, coding, and or like oh, sorry, an array. There we go. And I'm just giving you like an example here now, coding or like camera only, something like that. So let's see here. I'm gonna start Wallaby on this file. Wallaby is it's a test runner that I'm using. It's really nice, but there's no test in this file yet. And like that. And do we have, is this running? No? Yes. Do this. No, it's not running yet. Do I need to also add a describe? Nope. Wallaby. What's happening here? Never used. Why is this not running anything? Anybody had an idea why this isn't running? Oh, perhaps I'm gonna delete these for now, because I think they are messing up my test suite. Nope, they're not. Why isn't this running? Hello on Earth is so the function and test is in the same file. Yeah, I usually like to start out that way, actually. Oh wait, there's some error here. Create OBS is defined but never used. Oh, so the linter perhaps is... That's weird, I just had to re-save it. Very funky.
All right, anyway, we are running now. So we're gonna describe create OBS thing. And we're gonna test something like get scenes. And create OBS thing. It's going to be like we have to require the actual component, which I think is, let's look inside package.json where I have it. OBS WebSocket.js. So I'm just gonna call this OBS for now. Yeah, I'm using node requires here because the last time I tried requires, it didn't work out too well. Like I'm not yet happy about the MJS. Oh, if you export this, the linter will not complain. Thank you, Wesley Coder. Export. Oh, come on. I'm just gonna do exports. Oops. Yeah. Thanks. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna do a const thing, and we're gonna create an OBS thing, and the OBS thing is gonna take like the WebSocket.js thing. And let's have a look at the documentation for this. Help, that was bad. Oops. Where are we? So we have this thing, and then, right, we do this. And we want to, okay, we're gonna call that OBS WebSocket then. And create OBS thing is not defined. That's because it's exported. All right. So now we're here. And I'm just gonna write thing here and see where we're at. So we have this object called get scene lists. And I'm gonna call that, see what we have. Yeah, and that gives us these little, this list of garbage data. And, you know, we probably don't, do we want to have the create OBS thing do the connection, or do we want it to get the connected object? I think we actually want it to get a connected. We want to inject an object that has already been connected. So we're gonna call it connected OBS WebSocket. That's gonna be like something that we need to inject in this thing. So for now, we're gonna do the connection outside of it. Now make this font a little bit smaller. And I happen to know that my password for my OBS is secret. let's go back to the docs and see where we're at. Sending requests. Get scene list. This is what we're doing. And the connect will give us a premise. So what we're gonna do is like we're gonna go and make this a sync. So you notice here that I'm writing a lot of stuff just in the test because I like doing this, and then just randomly then I'm gonna then start folding this out into files and functions. But I like to just start playing around, just dumping the stuff into the test first as a kind of like a little bit of a garbage ground, and then we're gonna work from there. And to be honest, like I'm not like it's so long since I actually I've actually been coding that in a way I'm developing my testing process right now as we speak. We're just playing around a little bit. So I'm gonna wait for this connection, and then I'm going to send this get scene list. And yeah, what do we have here? Oops, await. So what did we get here? Oh, cool. These are actually the actual scenes in my local OBS. So you see here VS Code, screen, scene 2, normal. These are the scenes that we are getting. So I'm gonna copy this and see what we do here. I'm gonna paste this here. And Ilko GBG says like the Quokka seems so useful. Yeah, this is actually another tool from the same company called Wallaby. So it's a test runner. So you see like these little green dots on the left that's showing coverage. But it's like every time I save, it just keeps rerunning the test, and it also gives me these cool things that allows me to do these live comments and do things. It also allows like a bunch of other things. It's a really cool product. Right. So what are we doing here? Well. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing this send command. I would like the OBS thing to do that. So instead of having this mock data here, I would like to put that inside of the side of OBS thing. So if I pass this connected OBS socket into OBS thing, which we're already doing, then this await command should be inside here. Really like this. So what does this give me? This is very good. No. What the hell is happening now? Unterminated comms. My ESLint is clearly too angry. All right, so if we look here, we'll see that my what is scene list returning? It's not returning anything. No, of course, it's actually Wallaby can actually show promises inline, but since this I'm not having any await, it just terminates the test before we get anything. So we need an await here. So now get scene list is actually doing what it is that we want. The problem is that it's using live data, which is bad. So we want to mock this. And I'm gonna mock this connected WebSocket thing here. And so let's comment out this live data that we have going here. And we want the connected WebSocket to be like a constant. I'm gonna call this WebSocket. What are your opinions on this thing? Like, I tend to call things mock. Some people like to start making the distinction between like mocks and doubles and fakes, but the thing is, since there is no agreed upon definition of these things, I tend to find that it's just confusing. So I tend to not do that. I tend to just call things mock. And then we want to take the send command. And I'm not gonna use I'm just gonna make a manual mock function here. I'm not gonna make use of the jest mocking functions because it's a little bit confusing, unnecessarily confusing. So I'm just gonna call this command name, and then I'm gonna just expect command name to be get scene list. And then I'm gonna return some fake data. I'm gonna take this real data that we captured before. Whoops. I'm gonna paste this in. And it's quite a bit of stuff here that we don't care about, or like at the moment. So I'm gonna just remove that honestly because it's not relevant to the test. We might be creating stuff that is relevant later, but for now I'm really just interested in this data here. Shall we keep the current scene? I think we should actually. So we're gonna call this scene A. I'm gonna call it scene I, scene B. I gotta something like that. Oops. You see, like I'm taking the live data and I'm replacing it with some names that make sense for our test to make our test a little bit readable, even though I could perfectly have just reused the live data. But tests are for me, they're mostly about readability and documentation and keeping myself focused on what it is that I'm doing. So okay, we've successfully faked our send command here. There we go. It's not used, so I'm gonna paste that in. And now we have this scene list here. Look at this. Let's look. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so that we can see the entire thing. So if we look here, I'm creating this mock OBS WebSocket thing, and then that's being passed in here, up here, and then we're calling the send get scene list, and then we're just returning whatever we get out, which is this code here, and that just gives us that data like plainly outputted. I'm just gonna make sure that our test also, like this little assertion fails. I'm gonna just call it get seamless 2. As we see, then the test breaks. This is like a very good, practice in general. Like just try to make your, like, check that your tests actually break when you change the code. Let's say that we also want to do a little bit of transformation on this, because there was more garbage on these actually. Let's add that back in. Source, I think it was called sources. Let's see it. Yeah, exactly this shit. And there's also like a message ID here. I'm gonna add these things in here. And I want, honestly, these to be stripped away, because I want to like have this to be like a bit of a simplified interface for the mock, and which is going to be used by the front-end interface. And I want it to push like I don't want it to push everything included in my setup, such as the names of my cameras and microphones and stuff like that, because I just don't want it to be there. So I'm gonna take this thing here, and I'm gonna take a weight, constant, call this data, and I'm gonna return the data. Let's see, like, okay, where are we at? Okay, we need to make the same function async. Is Wallaby a lot better than the VS Code jest extension? Asks. Sorry about my pronunciation of your name. Yes, it is definitely. It's like Wallaby is ridiculously powerful, but it's better. Better is a hard word because like the jest code extension is free. But I really like the power that Wallaby gives me for the, what is it, like $100 or something? What is Wallaby? Getting sidetracked here. So I'm just gonna take data.scenes and then map that scene. We're really just interested in the name here. What am I doing? What is happening here? Oh, there. Scenes, something like that. Return. Spaces. So what are we returning now? Okay, scene name, scene B. Right. I'm gonna want some assertions here now. Let's see. I'm gonna const scenes. So we want a to expect scenes dot I want to expect the second scene to have a name. I want that expected first scene name to be scene B. Okay. Scenes. No, of course. It's a little bit wonky naming. Mr. Bankster, hello, welcome. Okay. Let's see here. We're gonna call this scene state or something. Because it's gonna include current scene as well. No, let's actually rename this entire thing to get scene state. There we go. Theme state. Theme state. And yeah. And I also want to make sure that this message ID is gone. I don't want that. To be to thought that would be autocomplete, but no. Just reference. Expect. Expect to be falsy, to be null, to be undefined, perhaps to be undefined. Okay, so we have this check now. I want to actually make sure that this test works. So I'm going to go back to the code here, and I'm gonna just return the data directly. And let me comment that out. Yeah, cool. Now this fails correctly. So I can go back and remove the statement. And our test is now running. I also want to make sure that current scene is there. But I don't want this weird naming. I want it to be like JavaScript style. Scene state dot current to be scene B. There we go. Cool. Expected scene B, but it received undefined, so it's failing as I wanted to. So now we're doing a little bit of TDD here instead. Like I tend to switch a little bit between being test driven and being test after. Like as long as your tests, like when there is an API, I tend to like start with the API and work myself back there. But in this case, sometimes I just like the sense of like actually having the test fail first. It depends a little bit on how much grasp I have of the application. So let's see. I'm just gonna call this current, and then I'm gonna grab from data current scene. See, and now we're green. Brilliant. Well, we didn't get as far as I hoped to because we're out of time. But at least we got somewhere. We did get somewhere. I'm gonna like just take this and I'm gonna just paste it in a gist. Wrote a test for create OBS thing. It tests this function that we created on the thing called scene state. It works by you call scene state on the thing after you have created thing, which requires a connected OBS WebSocket as an instance parameter, and this is a real like OBS WebSocket is like an npm module thing, but we have to create a fake one here because we don't want our tests to have a lot of side effects. So we give it a send method, which accepts a command name, which we expect to be get scene list, and we tried that this fails if we change it to something else, and then it returns this data here that is going to be current scene scene B. Like this is live data that we captured by first testing out the npm module. This is where Wallaby or something live evaluating thing turns out really handy in my opinion, because it allows you to like easily copy paste live data and then mold it to your test. Anyway, the data looks like this. It has a bunch of stuff that we really don't want there. Like we removed this message ID and we expected this here. I added some sources here, but we didn't get to the point where we start removing that data. That would probably be what I would do next. Also, I see here that send at this point, like the mock is actually giving us a sync method, which is wrong. This should be async. This still works because the await will not really care, but yeah, this should not be synchronous. And yeah, so this just this here just clears this data, and it just cleans up the data a little bit and makes it nice. It does some data manipulation really. And after we get that out, we inspect it here, and I write it like this just to be able to inspect it easily with Wallaby. And then I do a bunch of expectations on them, and then we're green. That's as far as we got. We did a little bit of injection, and we did a little bit of mocking.
Thank you so much for watching. A little reminder here to check out our fine sponsor Brilliant at brilliant.org/FFF to learn some machine learning math. If you like this dirty live coding format, you can check out this playlist with similar videos here. You can also subscribe by clicking here, or even catch us when we record them live at twitch.tv/funfunfunction. Until next week, stay curious.